Our friend Vivek Ramaswamy is writing in the Wall Street Journal how workers can build wealth in the AI era. He says there's a couple of simple solutions, but we're going to get right into that. So welcome back, Vivek. We'd love to have you on. Running for governor of Ohio. I think the guy's a sure shot, just me. Anyway, if every child had $10,000 invested in the S&P 500, every one of them would be a millionaire well before retirement. Totally 100%. How do they get the 10 grand? How do we get this policy in place?
We'll just talk about implementation in 1 second. It gets into a lot of plumbing. But just the big picture is that you think about Gen Z, the major issue, as many have written, is that Gen Z's own value set may not quite match what employers are looking for, which is why many employers are turning to AI to do a lot of their white-collar jobs instead. So the question is, how do we avoid social unrest? How do you have an entire generation that could be, in some sectors, white-collar professions displaced by AI? And my vision is, we got to cut them in. If that results in enhanced productivity for corporate America, then we want that next generation participating in it. So as one thought experiment, right, one heuristic, you could say if every one of those kids starts with $10,000 invested in the S&P 500, and the S&P 500 is more successful, performs better because of quantum computing, because of AI, then every one of them would be millionaires. I would sort of say on math of including S&P 500 performance, multimillionaires by the age of 65. Now, the beauty of this, Larry, is that this is a vision off the national debt. You then don't need for that entire generation, the entire federal entitlement state that is weighing on the national debt today. You could sunset the old entitlement state and replace it with a new generation of millionaires instead. A lot of people on the left say AI is coming. We need universal basic income. I think that's a bad idea. Instead, I favor universal equity ownership, universal extreme and expanding wealth. That's a far better vision for the future of the country and reviving the American dream in an era of AI.
All right, so I'm gonna pause it right there. I agree with a lot of the points that Vivek is talking about, but so let me try to break it down from a simple standpoint. What he's saying is, it's kind of similar to you having a 401k, right? So for my corporate job, for example, I use myself, for instance, we have a 401k match, right? So my employer matches 4.5% of up to 4.5% of my own contribution towards my retirement plan. So what he's talking about is taking $10,000, putting it into the stock market, right? So whether or not that is a retirement type account, it could be an IRA or something like that. Essentially, you will not pull the money out. You will let it sit in there, and then over time, that will build through compound interest until you being a multimillionaire to where you can rely on yourself for retirement, and you're not relying on the government to give you some type of Social Security or something like that, right? So we understand that the current system right now is broken. What do I mean by that? Well, my generation, the money that we pay in, and I pay a lot of money towards Social Security, by the way, the money that I pay in is paying the couple of generations behind me that is now at the retirement age. And then the people who come after us is going to be paying into the same system. So it's a bit of I'm not going to say a Ponzi scheme, but it's kind of something similar to where is the upcoming generation pays for the previous generation during retirement, if that makes sense. So we talked a little bit about AI in some of our previous videos, and I think my thought process around it is we need to get ahead of AI. We need to learn how to work with it, not be afraid of it, and take advantage of the immense opportunities that are going to be in the market. Now, I'm curious to see what is he talking about specifically, because when I think of being involved in it, AI has been integrated in everything. When I say everything, I'm talking about from your writing to like Grammarly. I seen some AI even at McDonald's restaurant when I took my kids to get a Happy Meal, right? So it's not going away. Instead of shying away from it, I say we learn how to work with it, understand it, because ultimately AI, I went to a event today, this morning actually, and one of the panelists said AI is not going to replace you, so to speak, but someone who understands how to use AI is going to be a replacement. I'm going to say that again. AI is not the boogeyman, but someone who understands how to use it is, in that case, the boogeyman. They would come in and get these jobs because it allows you to work more efficiently. Let me hear a little bit more about what he has to say here, but this is very interesting.
The one big beautiful bill has Trump savings accounts. Every newborn gets $1,000 to be invested in the stock market. That's a start.
I think it's a start in the right direction. It's got the right logic to it.
Yep.
But let's talk about turning this into real reality, meaty reality. I think if you're talking about really changing somebody's life over the long run, the compounding, we need to be talking about $10,000 or more at baseline. The other thing is this can't, in my opinion, just be part of entitlement stacking. We have too long of a history in this country.
All right, so let me stop right there. I love that term he used. Entitlement stacking. What is he talking about? I haven't watched this video. I'm gonna preface this. I haven't watched the video. I'm reacting to this in real time with you, but I'm thinking entitlement stacking would be the government subsidies, housing, food, Medicaid, Medicare, not for the people who need it. At one point in time, I used to be on several of these things. I grew up in the inner city. Trust me, I understand it, right? But at some point, it's designed for you to wing off of it. We have too many people, in my opinion, we have too many people throughout America who abuse the system, who stay on there way longer than what they're supposed to, and they're gaming the system. And it's not just the users, it's also the administrators, the pharmaceutical companies, the drugstores. All of these people are in on this big host. And that adds to the deficit that we have as a country. And then now when it comes to Capitol Hill, making decisions, having the budget projections and stuff, that affects all of the decisions. So I'm curious to see what he's going to say, but that stood out to me. Let's see what he say.
Of just, hey, just add another entitlement, throw it on. But what I think we can do is use the vision of compounding through equity returns to replace a lot of the old entitlement state.
Is it better than Social Security?
I think it's far superior
Yeah.
in its compounding. Now, Social Security could have been invested in the market and we would have a Social Security surplus today. That was a mistake made back in the 90s and in the early 2000s. We can't change the past. We can change the future by harnessing that same mentality for the next generation.
But
I'm not talking about the existing generation. I'm talking about the next
They'll have
generation.
to be working. You know what you're saying?
They've got to work.
You need to work.
You got to work.
Work is important. Work is godly.
Work is key.
And work is key. And then you will just keep adding to your S&P account. It doesn't cost you any money. Really.
It automatically just compounds. So people forget this. Albert Einstein called this the most powerful force in the universe.
Yes.
Even if you're compounding at 9%, 10% a year, the S&P's compounded at 13% for the last 5 years, 11% for the last 10 years. Even if you assume less than that, 9 to 10%, you're talking about by the age of 65, even at 10%, it's $2.7 million or so.
No.
Guys, I am witness to this. I started my Roth 401k last year, and I've been putting in about $150, sometimes $180, depends on if I have a larger commission check. And my company has been matching me, right? In a little over a year, about 13 months, that retirement account is already over $10,000 in just a year. And that's me putting in pretty much the minimum up into like 4.5% for my company after taxes, because I do a Roth 401k, not a traditional 401k. That allows me to compound. So all of the money that's being compounded after that is going to be tax-free because I've already paid the taxes. I'm contributing to my 401k with after-tax dollars. So I understand I'm in line for another position here in a couple of months and I'll be getting another raise. I'm going to increase that. So every time I get another raise, every time I get a bonus, every time my RSUs, which is my restricted stock units, which is part of my compensation package, every time that comes in, I am putting that into my brokerage account and I am putting the access into my retirement account. And I also have a Roth IRA as well, which gives you, I think this year, the max you can put in is $7,000. So we're going to start diving more into these concepts so you can understand from I want to break it down like in a simple standpoint where it's digestible. And then we'll start to scale up as I feel like you guys have a handle on the basics because I love numbers. I love finances. Numbers are not going to lie. I really, really enjoy doing this because I believe in taking control of your future, taking control of your financial well being. And ultimately, if you do it the right way, if you pick the right career, if you are patient and if you're diligent and disciplined in how you invest your money, I promise you, you will not only become a millionaire, you could become a multimillionaire and you can build whatever your form of generational wealth is. I genuinely believe that. As a matter of fact, if following the compounding strategy, it's almost guaranteed. The only way it doesn't happen is if you stop contributing and if you, for some reason, pull the money out, which you're going to be, you have severe penalties if you do that. So I don't advise that. But we'll talk about that more. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do you believe that these opportunities are available for you? Let me know in the comment section, what do you want to go over? Do you already understand retirements? Are you taking advantage of your compensation package or your benefits at your current employer? Are you looking at other roles based off of that? I want you guys to start thinking about the benefits, not just from a base pay salary standpoint, but all of the other things that come along with it too. Okay. So by the way, I have a masterclass coming out on Friday. We're going to start laying down the foundation so I can teach you how to network until your next promotion. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.